Hello everyone, my name's Aloubell and welcome to part 16 of Miraculous Bonds Beyond Fate, my Miraculous Ladybug AU with a different origin story and different other things too. If this video is your first exposure to Bonds Beyond Fate, then please check out the story from the beginning. Return for part 16 when you are ready. For everyone else, sit back, relax, hit that like button for the algorithm, subscribe for more reviews, rants, and rewrites, and if you want to support me even further, you can become a channel member by clicking the join button. Not only will you get cool perks, but you'll be helping me towards my dream of a creative career. A full-time job in this means more videos for all of you. No pressure though, I still like making videos regardless. Anyway, put the anger symbol emoji in the comments and enjoy Miraculous Bonds Beyond Fate Part 16. Last time on Bonds Beyond Fate, Marinette and Alya, after having an eventful morning dealing with Hawkmoth, arrived at school only to be greeted by some cruel pranks aimed specifically at Marinette, with Alya getting hit by the crossfire. The perpetrator was unknown, but suspected to be Chloe. After the rich girl took a comment too far, Marinette finally stood up for herself, causing Chloe to snap. In the middle of her emotional outburst, Alya slapped her. And now the story continues. Chloe reeled back, completely stunned by the attack. She was so overwhelmed by disbelief that she couldn't feel how badly her cheek stung. The crowd that had been watching gasped before becoming deadly silent. Without skipping a beat, Adrian called out, "Chloe!" He rushed over to her, placing a hand on her shoulder while inspecting her reddened cheek with the other. "Are you okay?" He then glared at Alya. "What the heck, Alya? That was totally unnecessary." Even Marinette spoke up. "Yeah, I think you went too far." Alya didn't respond. "Alya?" Marinette approached her friend, and when she finally got a good look at her, she found that the girl was holding the hand she had slapped with. Her gaze was distant, as if she was in a trance, but her expression was utterly conflicted. Anger was there, obviously, but her lips quivered, and eyes glossed over with tears from guilt. Understanding the duality of Alya's emotions, Marinette softened on her and sighed. "Oh, Alya." Upon hearing Marinette's voice, Chloe's neck slowly turned so that she could see her two rivals standing there. But despite the fact that Alya was the one who struck her, Chloe's focus locked on to the pigtailed baker girl. Chloe was seeing red, and the whole world disappeared. In what seemed like an instant, Chloe lunged at Marinette, letting out an almost feral screech. Reacting swiftly, Alya blocked the girl's path and shoved her away. "What the heck is your problem? Back off," Alya demanded. "I attacked you, not her." "This is all her fault," Chloe shrieked as she tried to claw and fight past Alya. Both Nino and Adrian had gotten involved at this point. Nino was trying to help Alya fend off Chloe, and Adrian was attempting to hold the blonde girl back. But in not trying to hurt her, and with her unpredictable jerking movements, it was tough. Marinette looked on at the scene, completely horrified and not knowing what to do or how to help. For all that bravado she just had, it all melted away. Eventually noticing that this position was getting them nowhere, Alya had the idea to suddenly tackle Chloe to the ground. This way, she would have a harder time getting to Marinette. However, this didn't stop Chloe from trying to get up and launch herself at her, so Alya wrapped her arms around the girl's legs, weighing her down. "Chloe, you dumb brat! Stop blaming Marinette for all your problems. You are the problem, not her." Chloe growled as her awareness of the ongoing situation became clearer. "Back off! No one gave you any right to touch me!" She was eventually able to wiggle one of her legs free as she tried to use the foot of said leg to shove Alya's face away. "And who do you think you're calling a dumb brat, you four-eyed tool? I'm sick of you getting in my way." Not appreciating the shoe squishing her face, Alya turned her cheek and leaned back. She put on a devilish grin as she caught Chloe's free leg. "Well, won't you look at that? These shoes look expensive. It'd be such a shame if you lost one." Chloe angrily gasped. "Don't you dare!" Her grin widening, Alya slipped off Chloe's shoe, rubbed it against her dough-soaked body, and threw said shoe several yards away. Her voice squeaking in disbelief, Chloe whispered, "That's designer brand. A Gabriel Agrest original." "Yeah, shame that." Alya said smugly. Maybe you can salvage it if you go after it fast enough. Now, be a good little girl dog and fetch. Taking advantage of Alya's lowered guard, Chloe sat up and turned to return Alya's slap with one of her own. With her cheek now pained and reddened, Alya didn't need nearly as much processing time to lunge forward and try to hit the rich girl once more. But this time, Chloe was prepared and fought back. The two girls rolled around on the ground, pulling each other's hair and clawing at the other. It was a total mess. With this now being a straight-up fight, the crowd became rowdy once again, with a mix of those egging on the conflict and others judging it. And of course, the smartphones were recording everything. Guys, you both need to stop this. Marinette tried to interject, but neither of the girls were having it. I get it. Both of you are hurt, but this is no way to settle things. She stepped towards them with her arms reached out as if to attempt to manually get them to stop. Placing his arm out in front of her, Adrien said, No, Marinette, you'll get hurt. She looked up at him. But, Adrien, they... I know, he responded. Adrien couldn't help but partially blame himself for all of this. For the most part, Chloe had been leaving Marinette and her friends alone, aside from the snide comment here and there. This was the first time he had ever seen Chloe be so overtly aggressive towards them. It wasn't until he forced Chloe to bring up her past with Alya, when he was Cat Noir, that the pain must have resurfaced to the point where it erupted into this ugliness. Marinette had already suffered enough that day. He couldn't allow her to get hurt in this brawl. And Alya too. Although her initial physical strike was unwarranted. Nodding over at Nino, who immediately understood the assignment, the boys carefully approached the catfight and reached down. They were both met with resistance as the girls had no intention of backing down, but they persisted on. Eventually, Nino was able to get a hold of Alya, and Adrien got a hold of Chloe. The two of them dragged the disheveled girls apart and forced distance between them. Chloe and Alya heavily panted as they glared each other down. But before any more words could be exchanged, a deep, loud, authoritative voice cut through the crowd. What is the meaning of this? All the kids turned to face the origin of that voice. It was the school's headmaster, Mr. Damocles. Not too long later, Alya and Chloe were forced to take the walk of shame to the headmaster's office. Once there, and Mr. Damocles had sat down in his fancy chair, Chloe slammed her hand down on his desk as she spoke in a heightened volume. I demand to speak to my daddy's lawyers. Appalled, the headmaster replied, Fix your tone there, Miss Bourgeois. And this isn't even a legal matter, so lawyers aren't necessary. Like heck they're not. I shouldn't even be here. I didn't do anything wrong. Alya scoffed in disbelief. Are you kidding me? You literally tried to attack Marinette, and before that you set up a whole bunch of traps just to mess with her. Crossing her arms, Chloe stuck her nose in the air. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't say such outlandish things. Poor Marinette. She was just having a bad day. We all have those, you know. Pretending to cry, Chloe took out a handkerchief out of seemingly nowhere to dab at her tear ducts as she put on these big puppy dog eyes towards Mr. Damocles. I honestly felt so bad for what she was going through. All I wanted to do was cheer her up, and then I was so brutally attacked. Where's the justice? Just as Mr. Damocles was about to respond, Alya cut in. Oh, cut the crocodile tears. You aren't fooling anyone. You might be able to slither out of responsibility for the pranks, but there's no denying you did in fact try to attack Marinette. Shooting Alya a sharp, cold glare, Chloe responded, Where's your proof? Slamming her own hand on Mr. Damocles' desk, Alya flashed her phone in his face. Sir, there is literally video evidence of what she tried to do. And even if there wasn't, there was a literal crowd of witnesses. Are you thick or something? Chloe accused. Videos can be edited, and people can be bought off to say or do anything. So that's barely proof. You must be the dense one, because there was no time for either of us to mess with the evidence like that, Alya retorted. You might be able to use your rich girl money to make people lie for you, but there's enough footage of what happened in enough angles to paint a pretty clear picture of what happened. Fine. If you want to play the video card, then let's acknowledge what you're trying to avoid. The fact that you struck first. Chloe turned to face her headmaster, once again putting on her innocent lamb act. Mr. Damocles, Alya smacked me right in my perfect cheek for absolutely no reason. Alya's confidence immediately fell as her worries welled up. Chloe continued. Everything after that was an act of self-defense on my part. I was honestly so scared.
Is this true, Miss Césaire?
Mr. Damocles stoically asked Alya. With an uneasy tone, Alya replied, Well, it's not untrue, but you don't understand. Chloe, was acting crazy.
Any violence at this school is strictly prohibited. It is a serious violation of rules, and you put not only yourself and Miss Bourgeois at risk, but potentially any other peers or staff who try to break up the conflict. And to add to that, you hurt both yourselves and the reputation of this school. Do you honestly think I don't understand how social media works? Hundreds, thousands, and even hundreds of thousands of people could watch the footage from that fight. Our reputation would be tarnished.
Chloe merely looked over at the internally panicking Alya with a wide, satisfied, menacing grin. Mr. Damocles continued.
I am very, very disappointed with your conduct, Miss Césaire. You had recently already broken school rules by leaving the premises of our campus during an emergency, no less, with Mr. Lahiff, and now you're not wasting any time in causing more grief for us. What happened to you? You were such a good student.
Sir, please, let me explain. Alya tried to reason with him. You just need to watch the video. Just stop, Alya, Chloe said while once again pretending to cry into her handkerchief. Can't you see you've already upset our dear headmaster? Your poor decision-making has given him such a headache. When, oh when, will your reign of terror come to an end? She blew her nose into the cloth. Finding her rage again, Alya was about to blow up at Chloe. Now look you!
I've had just about enough, Mr. Damocles announced with authority. Miss Césaire, I'll have no choice but to expel—
Wait just a minute, sir. Miss Bustier spontaneously opened the doors to the headmaster's office with a look of distress and determination on her face. Her entrance shocked everyone in the room.
Bustier, what's the meaning of this?
Mr. Damocles demanded. Miss Bustier cleared her throat and composed herself. My apologies, sir. I was listening in for the past few minutes. I realize I could have come in at any time, considering both Chloe and Alya are my students, but I didn't want to disturb you, and I was also curious as to what your verdict might be. The headmaster sighed.
Listening in on something you're tangentially related to is understandable, but scaring me half to death by barging in is what took it too far.
Miss Bustier gave a nervous chuckle. Again, my apologies, sir. Settling down, Mr. Damocles asked,
In any case, given your rather extreme reaction, I'm guessing you disagree with how I'm handling the situation?
To be honest, sir, I don't think you're giving Alya much of a chance to defend herself here. Chloe gasped. What? Ignoring her, Bustier continued. I think you should watch some of the videos that were posted regarding this fight. I recommend the ones that capture the entire conflict. With a look of complete and utter betrayal, Chloe was at a loss for words. At the same time, hope was rushing back into Alya.
It shouldn't matter, Bustier. Miss Césaire was the one who caused the fight.
That may be true, but context really matters. Surely a great and wise man such as yourself is aware of that. Mr. Damocles paused and marinated on that thought. He sat back in his chair and stroked his thick beard.
Great and wise, Yes. Yes, that is absolutely true. Context does matter. I will need time to study the evidence and come up with a fitting consequence.
Mouth agape, Chloe tried to weasel her way out of this outcome. But I'm the victim. Placing a comforting but stern hand on both of the girls' shoulders, Miss Bustier suggested, If you wouldn't mind, sir, may I be the one to come up with and administer the consequences? After all, they are my students, and I feel personally responsible for their actions. Perhaps there was something I could have done or said to prevent this.
I don't know. You're awfully soft on your students, Bustier. How do I know you won't let them off easy?
Miss Bustier chuckled. Do you really see me as being that much of a pushover? She then became serious again. I will, of course, come to you first to review my final decision. Feel free to make any changes if what I decide doesn't suffice. Although, I would deeply appreciate it if you would instead be willing to work with me on the consequences. What do you say? For a few moments, Mr. Damocles thought about the proposal. Both Alya and Chloe waited on bated breath, the two of them hoping for opposite outcomes. Eventually, Mr. Damocles relented, much to Chloe's detriment and Alya's delight.
All right, I approve of your request.
Miss Bustier gave a small smile and a slight bow. Thank you very much, sir. She then addressed her students as she gestured towards the door. Well then, shall we go? But as for now, that's all there is. There isn't any more.